Dick Grayson meets his end, Superman's regime rises, and the war between Batman and Superman officially begins in Injustice Year 1, The Death of Nightwing. What's up guys, Roman from RNS Entertainment here, and welcome back to another episode of Comic History, the weekly video series where I retell, explain, and give context to the iconic storylines, origins, and events in the world of comics. Comic History is almost up to 100 episodes now, and for episode 99, I wanted to cover an epic storyline within Injustice Gods Among Us Year 1. The digital comic series that takes place in the Injustice universe created by the video game of the same name. Injustice is a great comic that shows what can happen when questions of morality and responsibility play out on a massive scale, with the world's greatest hero Superman following an increasingly compromised path to becoming the world's most dangerous villain. If you want to see the rest of the story leading up to what is covered in this video, make sure to check out my other Injustice episodes on Superman Kills the Joker and Superman vs. the World, which function as parts 1 and 2 to my ongoing Injustice videos. This video will round out the end of the first collected volume of this epic series, along with covering crazy shakeups early on in the Injustice story, including and centered around the death of Dick Grayson, formerly Robin and current Nightwing. Our story begins with Batman villain Two-Face interrupting a news broadcast from Gotham 2 News, where the twin anchors continue to cover the public response to Superman killing the Joker. As Harvey flips the coin to determine which anchor he was going to kill, two bright red beams incinerated in midair, sending Two-Face into a pained rage, screaming for someone to tell him whether it was heads or tails. As Superman stands stone-faced above him, Harvey says that Superman must have seen and begs him to tell him what side it was going to land on. Superman refuses to humor Harvey's insanity, simply saying no and destroying his gun. Superman then takes the opportunity to address Gotham City over the broadcast, saying that he was in Gotham today because there was a sickness in the city, that psychopaths and monsters have been allowed to maim and terrorize the people of Gotham time and time again, only to then be treated for their insanity. Batman, Nightwing, and Robin watch Superman from the Batcave in shock, as Clark says that these murderers deserve nothing, and that he and the Justice League have decided to take Gotham's criminals away and put them somewhere where they could never hurt anyone again. Batman leaps into his jet with Nightwing close behind, but Damian stays back, crossing his arms and saying that Superman was right, and that they should burn Arkham to the ground. Batman launches the plane without another word, leaving Robin behind as Nightwing asks Bruce if he sees the kid's point. Bruce then asks Dick if he understands why they need to stop Superman from doing what he plans to do, and Nightwing says of course he does, putting on a big grin and saying, "Let's go defend a bunch of horrible murderers from the world's greatest heroes." Superman, Wonder Woman, and Cyborg arrive at Arkham with Two-Face, but declare that they are shutting the facility down and forcibly moving the inmates to a more secure location. Standing between Superman and the criminals is Batman and Nightwing, which turns out to not surprise Superman at all, as Damian had gone against his father and chosen Superman's side in the conflict, having warned them that Batman would try and stop them. Cyborg then hacks Arkham's security systems, opening each of the cells one by one as Batman's villains are taken by Flash at speeds high enough to make it look like they just disappear. Batman warns Cyborg not to open another door, but Cyborg ignores him and goes for Riddler, leading Batman to enable a sophisticated computer virus he had uploaded into Cyborg's mainframe, electrocuting him and leaving him writhing on the ground in agony. As the superheroes begin to react with every emotion from shock to anger, Nightwing presses a button on Batman's utility belt and stops the virus, flashing a smile and telling everyone to calm down and that they don't want to look bad in front of the psychopaths. Cyborg gets to his feet and says that he had checked the date signature on the virus and found out that Batman had placed it there the day he met him, which even Killer Croc says is pretty evil. Suddenly a green arrow lands at their feet, with Oliver Queen having brought Harley Quinn, who we saw him capture/save from Superman's wrath in Injustice Part 1. Harley's voice comes over the Arkham speaker system, as she had easily overpowered the guard Arrow left her with, addressing the inmates at Arkham and saying that Superman had taken her Mr. J away, and now he wants to take them away as well. All of the cell doors open at once, and Harley tells them she's giving them a fighting chance, starting a full-blown jailbreak and disabling the power dampeners in the special cell underground, which then releases Solomon Grundy, who erupts from the ground and grabs Robin by the head, pulling him down, saying "buried on a Sunday." Wonder Woman stabs her sword into Grundy's arm but is knocked away easily, and as Flash runs to save her, Nightwing tells Superman that Grundy's dead already. and as a zombie will regenerate no matter what Superman does to him, meaning that this is one time where he can let off some steam and not hold back. Superman finally smiles and flies straight at Grundy at high speed, using his heat vision to slice Grundy's hand off and save Robin before flying straight through his chest. Batman catches up and tells Nightwing and Robin to go contain the prisoners, and runs at Grundy before leaping forward and attaching 2 bombs to his head, blowing him completely to hell and rendering him inert until they could put the power dampeners back on him. Meanwhile, Robin mercilessly beats Riddler into the ground, screaming at him that after all of the people these psychopaths have hurt, that they don't deserve help. Nightwing says that Robin does not beat people when they're down, and Damian screams that he's not Robin anymore, throwing his screamer at Nightwing's head the same way he had always done when he got mad in training, which we saw in Injustice Part 2. But this time, Nightwing doesn't dodge in time and is knocked unconscious, stumbling backwards and falling onto broken rubble that cracks his neck. Damian drops his weapon and walks forward, reaching out to his foster brother / mentor and crying as he realizes what he had done. Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman emerge from Grundy's cell, quickly putting an end to the prison break as Batman notices what had happened. Damian tries to apologize with tears streaming down his face, but Batman violently shoves him away and says to get away from him. Damian clutches his cape and shrinks to Superman's side, with Superman looking down and saying that he knows Damian didn't mean to do it. Batman reaches down to Nightwing, hearing his own scream from the night his parents were murdered in front of him in Crime Alley, echoing in his mind and bringing all of the dark memories and pain back in full. Heroes and inmates stand in silence as Batman carries Dick's body away, thinking to himself that he's abandoned all over again, and that his son is dead. Sometime later, Superman tracks down Catwoman, and though she briefly escapes due to a sliver of kryptonite she had stolen from the Batcave and fashioned into an earring, Superman quickly captures her and tells her that Nightwing had died, and that Bruce was going to need someone to be there for him. Selina makes her way to Wayne Manor, and when no one answers the door, she picks the lock and goes inside, finding Alfred in a drunken heap on a chair. Though even drunk and grieving, he apologizes and says that he'll fetch her some tea. Selina tells Alfred that she'll be looking after him for a change, and then makes her way to the cave, where Batman is punching a wooden target at such force that he breaks his knuckles, crying and falling into Selina's arms as she tells him to not be the Mask, not be Batman, just for this night. Later, Batman and Catwoman answer the bat signal to find the President of the United States waiting for them, and after going to a secure location, he tells them that after Superman and the Justice League took the prisoners from Arkham, they had begun systematically attempting to control and cease every major conflict on the planet, with Superman forcing the leaders of Israel and Palestine into peace negotiations under threat of laser death, Wonder Woman leading rebel insurgencies in Burma, Shazam and Green Lantern making shows of force in Syria, and Raven walking into the warring tribes of Sudan and summoning Trigon to terrify them into submission. The president tells them that Superman is taking over the world, and he wants Batman to stop him. Over the next day, Batman and Catwoman recruit superheroes and vigilantes who haven't sided with Superman to form a rebellion to stop the impending rule of the Man of Steel, leading to a war that would span years of Injustice comics, which I will be covering in future episodes of Comic History. The Death of Nightwing wraps up the first volume of Injustice Gods Among Us, and very effectively uses an ultimately small conflict to inflict giant wounds and raise the stakes from Superman losing everything to Superman's crusade causing Batman to lose what he considers his true son. Nightwing in this story, along with all of the other characters, is so perfectly depicted, from him understanding why they needed to stop Superman, but still trying to help Superman by directing his anger to Grundy, to attempting to mediate between the two groups, to trying to teach Damian about what it means to be Robin and what it means to be a hero. Although the death isn't flashy or epic, and I've seen a lot of hate for it on the internet, I love how this volume wraps up, and Batman's response to it is heartbreaking. It makes sense. It sends all of the characters onto new paths that would lead them to where they are in later volumes, and it officially starts the war between Superman and Batman. As I said at the beginning of this video, this is my 99th episode of Comic History, which has gone from a niche passion project to the most successful series on my channel. And so, along with wrapping up the first volume of Injustice and paving the way for more stories with that, I want to announce for anyone who hasn't heard that Comic History episode 100 will be the epic, iconic 90s mega event Maximum Carnage, which is possibly the most famous Carnage, Venom, and even Spider-Man story, okay, one of the most famous Spider-Man stories of all time, and a huge tribute to the characters and comics that helped me get interested in the medium to begin with. When I say that episode 100 will be unlike any comic history I've done before, I mean it, because I am doing all of Maximum Carnage in one video. a 14-part story, which is a full 8 issues longer than my biggest episode so far on Venom Lethal Protector for episode 90. I want to thank everyone who watches these videos and learns about comics. I'm so glad I can make them and share my love of these stories with all you guys, and it means so much to me that you all enjoy them. Leave me a comment letting me know if you're excited for Maximum Carnage and what your favorite episode of comic history has been so far. And make sure to subscribe to RNS Entertainment if you haven't already for weekly content on comics, movies, and more. If you want to help support the channel and what I do, along with commissioning any comic history episode you want to see and other cool rewards like that, consider becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/RNS Entertainment. I want to give a huge shout out to Drew Miles and Jason Cantu for being $10 or higher patrons this month, and I will see you all for episode 100.